Hello, Wild Mamas and friends, and welcome to another episode of the Wild Mama Podcast. And we're doing a bit of a Mother's Day special. And so today I have a very, very, very special guest. My one and only daughter, Genesis Genesis Esperanza Jimenez, here live on the podcast. Welcome, Vance.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah? How's your morning been so far?
Tiring.
Tiring?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I went on a hike.
You went on a hike?
I had to wake up early.
Yeah. So we went on my Sunday hike and you joined me today, huh? Besides it being a little early and you're tired, was there anything that you enjoyed from it or got from it?
I got my latte.
You got your latte. And for people who don't know what latte is, what is latte?
It's tea leaf.
Tea leaf. And what do you do with tea leaves?
You can make lei.
You can make
And
leis.
I guess there's a lot of different uses,
Yeah.
but mostly I just use it for lei.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me on the Sunday hike and today on the podcast. We had a conversation late last year, when you were 15, and now you're 16.
Mm-hmm.
What? What has changed from being 15 to 16?
Not much. I think maybe just more confusion.
More confusion?
Yeah.
In what way?
Like, I'm in my emotions
Yeah.
and like my actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of a roller coaster?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Happens to all of us. But yeah, today, it's going to be Mother's Day very, very soon. And so I wanted to bring you on the podcast to just have an open conversation about motherhood and mothering and just like some of your perspective on motherhood and, your perspective on me as your mother. And so, yeah, I just wanted to have like an open conversation about that.
Okay.
So I'm curious, what do you think about motherhood? Like when I ask you, like, what do you think motherhood is, or like what does that even mean to you? What comes to mind?
I don't know. That well, I guess I think about like how I'm gonna be a mother one day, and how hard it's gonna be, especially 'cause like I know how hard it is for you to be a mother sometimes. But I also think that sometimes I kind of fear that I won't be as good as a mom as you.
Really?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I kind of think about like, what if my kids don't turn out well? I don't want to be cocky, but I kind of want like my children to turn out how me and Vish turned out.
Yeah. That's not cocky at
But
all.
like, not exactly how we turned out. I want them to turn out better than how I turned out.
Yeah. So you think I'm a good mom overall?
Yeah.
Even though I have my flaws.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that motherhood is hard, and so you know that it's going to be hard. What do you feel like is hard? What makes motherhood hard from your perspective?
Well, first off, the very beginning.
Yeah, the very beginning.
When you have to carry the baby for 9 months.
Yeah.
And then actually birth the baby.
Yeah. And you even witnessed the birth.
Yeah.
Your youngest brother.
Yeah.
And so beyond like birth, what do you feel like makes motherhood hard?
Well, like you have to provide. You're responsible for another person's life until they're ready to, like, kind of take care of themselves. So, like, you have to make sure that you're feeding them, that like they're safe, that they have a roof over their head, and it's like a lot to do, like, by yourself, especially if you divorced, like you did, or if like you don't have a lot of help. So I feel like that would be pretty hard. But especially like 2 children, it might be a little bit like easier because they have each other, but it's still hard to have to take care of 2 people.
Like multiple kids.
Multiple use.
Multiple use. And what do you think has been the hardest thing for me, like from your perspective?
Probably dealing with tantrums. You dealt with a lot of tantrums.
Yeah.
I've witnessed with Lolo. Like, it's real.
Yeah, we had Lolo on the podcast last week, and
he's the most extreme out of all of us, probably. So that's definitely hard.
Emotions, like big, huge emotions.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for you to like take on such big emotions a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's something I've been working on.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not easy for me.
Yeah, so, but I guess it's a good learning lesson, I guess.
It definitely is. It's definitely not easy, and it triggers me, like big, intense emotions. It does have an impact on me, and so I've been working on why it has an impact on me, so that I could try to separate myself from the other person's big emotions, so then I can still be grounded. But it is definitely challenging. So what do you feel like makes a good mom? Like, why do you say that I'm a good mom? Like, and I hope it's not just because you're my daughter and you're like, okay, I say my mom's a good mom. But what makes you feel like I'm a good mother? And what does that mean? Like, does that mean perfect? Does that mean, like, what does that even mean?
Well, I think first off, like, I'm not just saying it because you're my mom. Like, just how you're not saying these things because I'm your daughter.
Yeah, true that.
So, I think I wouldn't, just like how you are, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
So
we're definitely like that. High five. Yeah.
So I feel like even though we've had to learn a lot of this, but I feel like I keep remembering what Auntie Nicole said in our interview. Like, I don't know if this is the exact words, but what I took it as, like you're a good mom because, like, you give me, you don't take away my, what's the word?
Is it your freedom, did she say?
Yeah,
or
I
your
think,
autonomy?
yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, like you give me, yeah, kind of freedom, like I don't feel like, I always feel like I have, like, a choice.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I have control over my life.
Mm.
Like, you've always told me that, like, I have to, like, you can guide me, but I have to make the decision myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just keeps me accountable. Because my decisions directly affect me.
Yeah.
And it's going to be my fault if it goes one way or another.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I do think when a lot of people my age tell me that they want to grow up, it's because they would have more freedom and they would be able to do whatever they want. Because right now they're not able to. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
But for me, like, there are things that I can't do, but, like, for the most part, for the things that matter, I have a decision in it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's helpful.
Yeah. So it's almost like, through, the ups or the downs or the disagreements or the challenges, it's like, what I feel with what you're saying is that there are, like, underlying kind of, like, sound principles or values that we hold that even if I'm not perfect in my everyday parenting, or we don't always get along or understand each other, over time I am giving you, consistent guidance or care and enough autonomy that helps you feel like overall, like you're essentially, like, being parented well, like that I'm a good mother because over time, like, you're growing, and I've been pretty consistent with, like, certain aspects of what we're trying to develop in you, but also in ourselves as each other. So it's like, it's not about being a good mother. Like, I think what I'm trying to say is, like, the day to day definitely matters, but it's also the consistent, like, over time, 16 years of parenting kind of, like, matters more than, like, oh, we had a really crappy day today, kind of thing. So, or it's like both and, like, I'm trying to be a good person each day, but also it's like, it's a winding journey. What makes you worried that you won't be you said as good of a mom? Do you feel like you would be a good mom, though?
I don't know if I would be.
Why?
Because I'm not, well, obviously, like, I haven't had that much experience yet, so
yeah, you've got
obviously
time.
I don't think that I'm going to be that good right now. Because, my knowledge is limited right now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll, like, get some perspective when I have more years.
Yeah.
But right now I don't feel like what I know now. I don't think I would be a good mom.
Yeah.
But I feel like I might be kind of, from how I am with Lolo, depending on how my kid is, like, if my child turns out like Lolo, like, we're gonna have some, it's gonna be kind of hard.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. What are some of the kind of qualities or things that you feel like you would want to teach your kids or cultivate in your kids?
I definitely want them to have some kind of culture in their lives. Hopefully by that time I'd know Spanish, or Olelo Hawaii. I definitely want them to be respectful, especially if I have a boy, because I feel like it's kind of hard to find respectful men, especially at a young age.
Yeah.
And if I have a girl, I'd want her to also be respectful and to try. Obviously, I can't control whether she gets insecure or not, but I definitely want her to feel like she is okay, like she's great the way she is already. And same with if I had a boy too. I don't know, I guess I can the same vice versa for girl or boy, because it shouldn't change depending on the gender I have.
Sure.
So I definitely want them to be okay with themselves and just I want them to be outside a lot. Like, I won't give them all the electronics yet until I feel like they're ready for it.
Yeah.
Kind of what you did. Yeah.
No, I hear that. Let's say you're my age, 39, and you're me right now, and you're sitting with your kid who's 16. What would you tell them?
Wow, that's a crazy question. Like, if they were in my situation right now?
Yeah. They were where you are right now.
I don't think my kid would believe me.
What do you mean?
If you were to tell me something right now, it would be kind of hard for me to believe it too.
Sure, but say it anyway.
Well,
what do you think they need to hear? Maybe that you needed to hear or you need to hear right now, but your future self can tell your future child where you are right now, what you feel like you need that they probably are going to need.
No matter what anybody says, it's always okay to make a mistake. I really need to hear that. Because I'm so not okay with my mistakes. And I always overthink every single decision I make. Like, even today, like, you're not supposed to be picking those leaves.
Yeah.
Like, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But I have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And I've made a bunch of mistakes that I'm not okay with, but can't really do anything now. Just don't do it again.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting conversation because mistakes have a really bad rap in our society. Like, it's as if the expectation is that we be perfect, that you should already know. But, like, how do we learn and figure things out if we can't make mistakes, if it's not safe for us to make mistakes? So I'm curious, like, why you feel like maybe like you're not allowed to make mistakes. Like, where does that maybe come from?
I don't know. I think it's kind of hard. I don't know. I think mostly it's partially just me who feels like they shouldn't make a mistake. But I think part of the reason why it's so hard for me to make mistakes is because, like, at school, like, whenever I got something wrong, I would get, like, before my school currently, like, in my past schools, I wouldn't, like, it's like, I taught you this once, now you're just supposed to remember everything. So I'm not, if I get something wrong, then, like,
it's like immediate consequence.
Yeah, like, oh, you weren't listening, you're not paying attention, you, like, I already taught you this, so you shouldn't get anything wrong now. So I feel like that's really affected.
Yeah, it's a real like unrealistic expectation, honestly, that I tell you something one time and you have to perfectly remember it, recite it, repeat it back. Versus I think what we really know in our day-to-day is like I have to repeat a lot of things over the last like 16 years, like, and it's just a part of the parenting process. It's just a part of it, the relationship. And you sometimes need to repeat things to me and remind me because I also don't always remember, or it doesn't click, or it's just a process. But I do feel like our society is very much like geared towards what you're talking about, that high pressure, get it right or you're done. Like, and the consequences are so stark, like so intense, like you're saying. Yeah.
Like, I would get such bad grades, like, all the time. Like, before my current school is when I first got straight A's. Like, I was about to cry when I got it, because I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's because I had a smaller class, and, like, it was easier for them to, like, pay more attention to me. And, like, even if I do make a mistake, like, the way they think is that, like, if you apologize, then we're not gonna hold it against you anymore. Like, it's like...
Yeah, it's so interesting, too, because I think there's, like, this automatic thing that a mistake equals wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're just simply learning and you make a mistake, it doesn't make it wrong. Like, if you're teaching a kid how to walk and they fall, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, you're so wrong. Like, you made a mistake. Get up, boy. Like, you're supposed to be walking. It's like, no, like, they fell because they're learning how to walk. Like, but the mistake of falling or not being able to move, it's like, it's not inherently wrong. And I think that maybe that's how we've been conditioned, is that our mistakes equal wrong, and that our mistakes reflect our person, like who we actually are, right? Versus just like, this is like a behavior, but it doesn't define who I am. And I think like maybe that's something that you're wrestling with, is like that the mistake is you, you know, and so you must be a mistake, or you must be the problem or a problem, rather than like, okay, I am exhibiting these behaviors, but my personhood is not flawed. It's just I'm a human being working through things and trying to figure them out. And so it's only natural to have ups and downs, or fall, or make a mistake. Wow. Yeah, because I mean, I think about my own relationship to mistakes, and I also struggle, but I think it's because, similar to what you're saying, it's like you kind of innocently make a mistake, but then the consequences are so extreme that it makes you almost like, it's almost like trauma, right? It's almost like, oh my God, like I must have really messed up. Like I must be terrible. And then you're afraid to make more mistakes because you don't want to have such extreme consequences or to feel so bad. Wow. that's really interesting. So you would tell them, no matter what anybody says, you're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And why do you feel like you're allowed to make mistakes?
Because everybody is. Like, if I don't know something, how am I supposed to, like, not do it?
Yeah.
Like, if I knew that I wasn't supposed to pick Law E, then I wouldn't. But since I didn't know, like, why should I be punished for that? And I think about my dad also, because, like, whenever he does something wrong, like, he just, like, forgets about it. Like, it didn't happen. Like, and I'm like, Dad, like, don't you remember that you did this stuff? And he's like, no. Like, even if he does remember it, like, he's like, I didn't know. So, like, that's all I can say. I learned from it, and I won't do it again. But there's no importance to it.
To kind of the gift of, like, letting go.
Yeah, and not living in the past, because I always overthink, and I think about every single mistake that I've made over 16 years. And I just feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like I should hold on to it anymore. Because it's a thing everybody does, so I don't feel like I should take it personally anymore.
Yeah. So what would you tell your future 16-year-old son or daughter, child? What's it gonna take to, like, let it go? Like, what do you think it's gonna take to give yourself permission to allow yourself the space to make mistakes?
I don't know, write all of the mistakes down and burn it.
Hey.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a nice ritual. Why not?
Maybe it wouldn't work, but maybe if they wanted to, it might work.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it would work for me, but I think maybe just kind of just letting it out, I guess.
Yeah.
And just kind of being like, okay, yeah, I made that mistake.
Yeah.
And then kind of just talk about it until it's not important anymore.
Versus, like, hiding it or holding on to it and then letting the shame creep up. Build up. Yeah. That makes sense. So a lot of moms often feel like they're making mistakes, like they're effing up, and that they're afraid they're messing up their kids. Even if they're trying their best. That's something that a lot of moms struggle with, and struggling with, like, guilt, mom guilt. So what would you say to, like, moms about mistakes, or, like, when they feel like they're not doing good enough?
Well, what's a mistake that you think that you made?
Good question. What's a mistake that I feel like I made? I mean, I feel like I think, like, with you, I feel like there's been a consistent thing around not necessarily always giving you the space to feel what you need to feel. And so I feel like sometimes I make mistakes around how I might deal with it or handle it or talk about it. So I feel like just like the mistake of, like, not maybe, I think sometimes I wonder what need do you have that I'm not fulfilling or didn't fulfill in the past that makes you feel certain things now? Like, it's like, I think sometimes I wonder if I made a mistake in the past that then is part of the reason why you might feel certain things now, or yeah. So I think that is something that comes to mind a lot for me.
Well, I think a lot of, maybe some of the things weren't mistakes. Like yeah, maybe like some things kind of made us struggle, but I feel like there was also things that maybe could be seen as mistakes, but they were actually something that you needed to do. Like with that long trip that you took. Like, I think that probably like did a lot, like a lot. Yeah. But it wasn't a mistake. It was something that you needed at the time.
Yeah.
But it just affected me in that way. But maybe I didn't always feel like I was heard. And I guess I would think that like you got mad at me if I thought something. So I kind of just started to like overthink everything, and then so that I wouldn't upset you. But I feel like if in right circumstances I'm able to tell you things.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of hard for me to understand if I can always consistently just tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my journey of emotional growth and maturity, it's taken the 16 years. It's taken some time. So yeah, I think I'm much better now, but I mean, I was 22 when I had you, so the way that you feel like, oh, if I were to be a parent now at 16, I don't think I'd be a good parent. Like, I mean, I was 22. Like, that's only 8 years older than where you are now. Like, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I even think about, like the last relationship I was in and being there for so long. I feel like that was
definitely did something.
that was a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, but I learned from it, and I love that I have Lolo. But I definitely think there were a lot of mistakes there, and so it's not like a mistake in necessarily my parenting of you, but it was mistakes I've made in my life or choices I've made that then impact you. I feel like sometimes that's where I feel the most tension for myself as a mom, is like, I'm still figuring out my life. I'm still figuring things out for me, but I also have children that are dependent on me and needing me to also raise them and cultivate them. But I'm like, but I'm also still learning and growing. So it's like, it's a huge challenge sometimes to like feel like you have to always get it right. It's like, because I'm also a human being trying to figure things out, and I'm gonna make mistakes, but the pressure is much higher when you're like, well, crap, if I make mistakes, but then you are here, and then you have to also live with my, like, you're impacted by my mistakes. That is hard. That is hard, because I feel like society really puts a lot of pressure on us to like be perfect parents to raise perfect kids. And I'm like, but I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not a perfect person. And so I can't raise perfect kids. Like, and I don't think that's a realistic expectation, but I think the grace to show myself grace and patience as I grow, and know that even amidst my mistakes as a person in my growth, while also being a parent, that somehow, some way, I can still raise great children, even though we will have to probably deal with some of the consequences of the mistakes that I made and the impact that it had on you. But I think maybe it's less about me never making mistakes and so you never getting impacted. It's like, okay, let's just accept the reality that I'm going to make mistakes, and some of those mistakes will have an impact on you, and then we're going to have to deal with those consequences together. And you're going to make mistakes. Some of those mistakes will have an impact on me, and then later we're going to have to deal with those consequences together. So maybe that's just how it actually is supposed to be, you know, rather than what society tells us. And that's one of the big things that, like, you know, Wild Mama, we're trying to do, is shift the narrative around what it looks like and means to be a mom, because these other standards are just, they suck.
But I think that also answers your question.
What?
About mothers making mistakes.
Can you repeat it back?
Oh.
Or, like, you know, like, what summarize, like, what, how did I answer my question? What did I, what are you hearing?
What I hear is that, like, making mistakes is inevitable. Like, everybody's always gonna make mistakes. The only difference is that now you're a mother, so it's gonna affect your children. I think it just, depending if you're worried about how they're gonna turn out from your mistakes, is determined by how you handle it with them. So we've had to learn to handle it together. So, but even though you made mistakes, you know, I didn't turn out like that bad, I guess.
You didn't turn out bad at all.
So
it feels like it's more important the repair than whether or not a mistake was made, and how we impact. It's like, can I actually accept that the mistake was made? Can I accept that it had an impact on you? And can we both figure it out and work on it together? Like, that maybe is a lot more important than whether or not I make the mistake. So that really kind of shifts the pressure of, like, I somehow need to be this perfect person, when no, I don't. But it's more about having the skill of making it better, you know, learning from it and repairing it together than, you know, than not. Like, than ignoring it or suppressing it or not liking that you got hurt because I feel guilty. And so then I'm going to, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Like, no, I don't like that. You know, and then shut you down. And then that's worse. Because you can't safely express. And I think in some ways, that's kind of what you're talking about. Is like, is it safe for me to express that, like, what you did hurt me or still has an impact on me? And I think I can admit, I think in the past I was less able to face it because it doesn't feel good. It feels like, man, I know I messed up, but damn, like, you know, like, so to be able to come into a better state of awareness and responsibility where I can let you have your experience, and it doesn't necessarily mean that, like you're saying, I'm a bad mom, but I did make choices that impacted you. And so how can I own my own stuff and, like, be okay with it so that I can create space for you to be okay with sharing what you feel or what is still coming up for you about it, so then we can both kind of heal together. Dang. That's good. That's really good. And you said you wanted your kids to turn out like you and Vish. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Well, I feel like me and Vish are just pretty creative. And I feel like we're interested in, like, looking at birds and stuff and going fishing. And, like, we're not always on our phones. And I'm not saying this because I think that we're better than other people, because we're definitely not better than other people. Let's just get that straight. Like, we're just different. Like,
yeah.
But I just like how we function.
Yeah.
And like for me personally, in my personal opinion, I like being able to be able to just be like a creative thinker, and I feel like we have a good sense of self-awareness at this age, and we're just able to make, like, we just know how to make decisions for ourselves, and like we learn how to take the consequences of them. So I feel like that's just how I personally like it. It might be different for other people. And I want to say this again. I'm not saying that we're better. I'm not saying that. This is just how, in my experience, I like it.
Yeah. What I love about also what you're saying is that even though I know that you personally struggle sometimes with yourself, in the grand scheme of things, you're like, but I like how I and my brother are. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, yes, I kind of struggle with myself sometimes, but overall, I actually like who I am and how I am as a person, understanding that, you know, I am different than other 16-year-olds, other teenagers. Like, I operate differently. I think differently. I value things differently, you know? So even if you have your own internal struggles, you still would prefer to be here and in this life as you are than not, which I think is just really fascinating, actually. Which for me, it's like, I always tell you, like, I know you kind of struggle with yourself, but I'm like, deep down, I know that you know who you are. And I think the challenge is less about knowing who you are and more about, am I courageous enough to show up as that person to other people? Like, am I willing to be courageous in being a confident person in what I know and who I am? Because I think that there's more of that concern of not being accepted for who you are. But I've always felt like you have a very strong sense of self and you know who you are. But the challenge is, can I show up as that for it outside of in the world, you know? Am I going to be okay if someone doesn't like me if I show up as who I am? But I've never felt like you don't know who you are. But I know you feel sometimes I don't know who I am.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, I go through everything that every other teenager goes through. So,
yeah, it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Navigating life, navigating the process. But I think you're doing a great job. I think you're doing a fantastic job. And I'm very proud of you. And I, too, love who you all are turning out to be. And I think a lot of people actually look at you and envision, are like, wow, like, what do I need to do for my kids now to help them turn out to be like well-rounded and grounded, self-aware kids? What are a couple things that you feel like helped you become that way?
That I had a brother. Like, I feel like it's so much easier to learn how to communicate when you have a sibling close to age with you.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I totally agree.
like, he definitely humbles me all the time.
Yeah.
He's better at me than everything I do. So I never feel like I never think that I'm the best. I never think that like I'm better than other people, because I know there's always gonna be somebody that's more like who knows more, who not is better but is different in a way that I'm not.
Yeah, like has different strengths.
Yeah, different strengths than I do.
Yeah, sure.
And like I've had to learn not to compare myself to that. I'm still learning that. But it's just it's a thing. It's a good thing to learn, because like we're all different people.
Yeah.
Like we all hold different strengths, and it's important not to like judge ourselves for what our strengths are just because we want them. You know? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It makes sense. Just a couple more questions, hence, and I don't know if you have any questions for me, but the other day we were having a family meeting, and I was telling you all, hey, I've been struggling a little bit. You know, I've been having some challenges, some pressure with, you know, even though I chose to go full time with my business, Wild Mama, it's a high pressure situation, you know, to make money, provide for the family, figuring it out, and then emotionally just navigating my own stuff. And so I apologize to you all about just feeling like I'm just not at my best at the moment. And so I was just sort of like wanting you all to know why, and just sharing that. And then I talked about, you know, the vision for Wild Mama. And you told me, Ma, it's not so much that I believe in the vision, it's that I believe in you. And I was like, whoa. Like, wow, like that actually really meant a lot to me. So I'm very curious, like, why do you believe in me? Like, what makes you believe in me as your mother? Like, even amidst my challenges, even though I'm like kind of sometimes I feel like I'm floundering, like, oh God, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Is this business gonna succeed? Not like, and you are just like, vision or no vision, or if your vision was something else, it's not about the vision, it's about you, and I believe in you. So where does that come from?
Just knowing who you are as a person. Like you've been very patient with me, and you don't take any crap from anybody. And like you're just very determined. Like when you're stubborn in a way, or if you want something, you're gonna find a way to get it.
Yeah.
And especially if you have control over it, like you're gonna make sure it happens. So with this vision, you're very determined about it. Like you have a great sense of idea of what you're talking about. Like you know what your vision is.
Yeah.
You know where you want to get to. So when you know the point that you want to get to, like even if you don't know how you're gonna get there, you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think I believe in the person that you are.
Wow. Thanks. I believe in the person that you are too. Just through the challenges and through your own doubts, through my doubts, like that's a really good feeling that we both believe in the person that we are, like that the other person is. So do you feel like you have, in your 16 years of life of witnessing me as your mother, that you have witnessed me feel determined and want something and then get it? Like, you feel like you've seen me do that. And so my track record tells you, well, yeah, like she could do that because she's already done it, or...
Well, I think, like, when you got out of the, like, the church and stuff, like, you wanted to get out of it, so you did. And then you wanted to work for yourself, so you did. And then you wanted to have a good relationship with me, and we're getting to that point now. After all this time. Like, even if it's not big things, like, you've done a lot of small things that have led you to this point where you want to be. Like, you moved here.
Yeah.
You thought of it, so you did it.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, like, even though you had to get rid of a lot of things, like, you wanted this so bad that you made it happen.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that's proof right there.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for believing in me. It definitely helps, and yeah, it's encouraging for me, because I think that this is probably the one of the most important things I feel like I've ever done, the hardest things, but it's the closest to the vision that I want to create.
Yeah.
So it feels really risky and scary, but I do feel very determined. I'm like, I'm not turning back. There's no turning back now.
Yeah.
Like, so no matter what happens, this is happening.
Yeah, because it has to.
Because it has to. There's no other option. It has to work. It has to happen. So, yeah. Is there any final words that you want to share just about mothering, or maybe a message to mamas on Mother's Day? Like, is there anything that comes to mind that you feel like would be helpful for other mothers to hear?
I don't know. I don't really know, like, what... I don't know what would mean something to them. Because I don't personally know what it's like to be a mom. But
What's something you think I need to hear as your mom?
That you're doing great. Like, even though, like, it's not... Even though I'm going through my own stuff, like, it's not because of you. It's just because, you know, I'm going through all these changes, and, like, it's like irregular teenager stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, like, it's really not about you.
Yeah.
So I really don't want you to take on my emotions and let it, like, affect you in that way. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that message to me is probably one that a lot of moms need to hear. That they're doing great. You know, they're doing their best.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And you're having your experience as a teenager while I'm also having mine. And they don't necessarily have to do with each other.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So, do you have any questions or anything? Does anything come to mind that you want to chat about?
What has it been like raising, like, 2 teenagers and then one, like, basically toddler, 6-year-old?
It's been very interesting. I think one of the things I definitely noticed was what you said before, is there's a big difference when you have a sibling close in age, that you can kind of learn some of these skills and work through things, versus the age difference, because you all have this, you've worked through all the challenges that he's had. You already worked through them, so you're at a different stage. So when you see him acting in a certain way, you're like, what are you doing? Like, don't you know any better? But it's also like you all had to go through those phases to get to where you are now. And I think people wrongly assume that you are who you are now because you've always been like that.
No.
Yeah, and so I think with Lolo, I'm recognizing how part of that learning was a little easier and more possible because you both had each other. So I think trying to figure out how do I teach Lolo these same values and skills when there's not that other sibling to also kind of work through it with, because you all are further along, and so it's hard for you even to meet him at his level to help him learn. And so I think I find it kind of challenging to know how to give him the same things that I gave to you all, without that sibling support. So I think that has been challenging, but at the same time, I think he really loves being around you guys, and I love that you all, can have each other and grow together. And I think that I think Lolo's here to really help you and I in particular grow a lot. So thank you, Lolo, and thank you, future Lolo, because we're definitely growing, but in a good way, I think, ultimately. But yeah, I think in some ways it's almost like Lolo feels like an only child sometimes, like, because it's, you guys are in such a dramatic different place. So yeah, I don't know, it's been beautiful. Like, I love y'all, and I've really enjoyed watching you and Vish be teenagers, like, because I think since you were young, people always have these terrible views of teens and teenagers. Just wait till they're a teenager. And I always refuse to accept that idea that automatically, just because you're a teen, we're going to have all these problems. And so I feel like I really cultivated things with you all when you were younger so that we could have a positive experience now. And I feel like we're able to have these kinds of conversations and grow and become closer. And so I've really enjoyed you guys as teenagers. It's been awesome to see what you're drawn to and how you use the tools that I've given you over these years, how you use them now to navigate more challenging times, So overall, I think it's pretty great. Any other final questions?
How do you feel like you've changed as a mother throughout the years?
Well, I think I've, the word that comes to mind is softened. I feel like I've softened a bit.
I think so too.
I think when I was a younger mother, I was much more like, a lot more disciplinary, a lot more like, just, like, I don't even know the word, but yeah, I think I was a little harder. So I feel like I have definitely softened up a bit, and just kind of, I think, understand the realities of the journey of parenting, and that, okay, it's going to take some time, and I don't have to be so stuck on what I think, but it can be something that we learn together, or I don't have to know all the answers. I don't need you to be what I think, So I feel like I've changed in that way. I mean, I've obviously matured a lot emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. So I think I'm just more aware, I'm more grounded, a lot more grounded, which I think does allow patience. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think I'm just, I think I can, like we talked about, I can handle you all's emotions better. Because I can manage my own emotions better. So when I can understand and manage mine, I feel like I can help understand and make space for yours. So, yeah. How do you feel like I've changed?
I mean, yeah, you definitely were more like strict.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe that was also how I turned out, why I turned out. Because there was a lot of discipline. Like,
yeah.
Like, you were scary. Oh my gosh. You were so scary. And I don't know if, like, you're still scary. Like, when you start yelling at Lola, I'm like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like, it's about to go down. I don't know what it is about Lola, but he like is not fazed by it for some reason.
Yeah.
But I think also you were like way more hyper when I was younger.
Like in what way?
Like
more energy?
Like more like in like you were in your 20s, so like the 20s like kind of like energy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It
like
kind
on
of,
the go.
Yeah, on the go. Like I guess it kind of matched my little child energy.
Yeah.
Because we were like bouncing everywhere. Like we had pillow fights and stuff. Like you would pick us up, throw us on the couch like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And we would do yoga all the time, and you would like
true.
flip us over.
Yeah.
And like we would be running around all the time.
That's true.
I guess we had a lot more energy.
Yeah.
Like when I was little.
Yeah.
And like we would do a lot.
Things have kind of like calmed down a bit.
Yeah. I feel like you were a lot more masculine. Like
I just turned on.
Like you weren't like I would never see you wearing this like a long time ago. Like your style has like changed a lot.
My style has changed.
Yeah. I mean, you still have the same haircut.
Yeah, since
like 2017. No,
like 2015. I think it's
Yeah.
Almost 10 years.
I shaved my head.
Yeah, you shaved.
2017. Was it 2017 or was it 2016?
16. Yeah, you did it right after me.
Yeah. And then I think you're more confident in yourself now.
Yeah, I can definitely.
Yeah. Like you're more like confident in yourself. And like I think maybe like you were very different like a long time ago. Like you would even listen to different music.
That's very true.
Like you would listen to James Taylor, like
Lionel Richie.
Who else? Like
yeah.
Like very like chill and like slow like musicians. And now it's like you listen to reggae, like all like
maybe it's
Latin
balancing
pop.
out. Maybe when I'm super hyper, I need music to calm me down, and then when I'm a little more chill, I need music to lift me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still listen to Bomba Stereo.
Yeah.
I think that's continued on.
Yeah.
And you used to do music.
Yeah, I used to play and sing.
Yeah, now you don't do that anymore.
Well, my guitar is taken at the moment. It's being lent out.
Well, before I even started using it, it wasn't being used.
No, I know. I've been wanting to start playing again, but I want to get you one so that I can.
You can have yours
back. Mine back.
We need to fix
but
it
then
too.
now it's broken. Almost.
Well, not
broken.
because of me.
No, I know. Just time. That thing is like 13 years old.
Yeah,
That guitar.
I remember when you got it.
Yeah.
Like, even the case is broken. Like,
Yeah.
the handles are gone.
So it's almost as old as Vidge.
Yeah.
So, of course, I've never had to repair it. So it only makes sense. Yeah.
But, what else? Like, you did a lot of art. Like, you were, like, more, like, you were very creative and on the artsy side.
Yeah.
Like imagination. Like, you went to fashion school.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I saw a picture of you, like, you made these overalls.
Yeah.
Like, one was short, one was long.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then you would paint all the time. We would have painting. We would paint all the time.
I really miss painting a lot, actually. I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, wanting to get an easel and some canvases and, like, paint.
You were a really good painter. You painted that.
Yeah,
like,
it just comes out. I feel like I'm not very good, but it's like something comes out. I don't even know what I'm
painted
gonna
that
paint.
bird, Mom. That was.
I did paint.
Where
that
is
bird.
that?
It's gone.
What?
I think we have the picture, but it's gone. Because we moved here, we couldn't bring it.
It was really nice. And then I feel like you had a lot more friends that you made when we were in Chicago. Like, so, like, we would have friends over all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, vision board parties were, like, everything.
Yeah.
And then I feel like you're starting to create that community again.
Yeah.
So, like, now we're having more people. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, some of those things I have thought about bringing back or missing them, and wanting to have them back in my life. So, yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Sans. This was a fantastic conversation. Thanks for joining me for this Mother's Day special and giving your thoughts. And I think a lot of the mamas will benefit from just the conversation and the insights that you shared. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.